Good morning, comic book fans. Welcome back to Comics in 5 Minutes. I'm your ever-loving host, Shorty, and today we're going to have a look at The Moon is Following Us by the wonderful creative team of Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rossman, and Mike Spicer. I want to say wonderful creative team. I mean, literally, that's the reason I picked this book up. That's a hell of a creative team, and I like the fact that Daniel Warren Johnson is doing the writing, Rossman's doing most of the artwork, but they're both creators, and DWJ is doing some art in there, and Spicer is calling the entire lot. This is the kind of creative team which makes me pick up a book without caring what's going on, but it also leads me into a point I think worth making. I got asked fairly recently why I'm not going to review the Spirits of Vengeance issue 1, and I gave a throwaway answer to a customer in the store by basically saying, well, it's a 4-issue miniseries, who cares? I've actually reviewed one-shots and stuff like that before. The real truth of the matter is I find Marvel and DC, more than any other company, to be more frustrated when it comes to issue 1 reviews. Because quite often, I'll get to the end of the issue and think, this just reads and feels like any other issue 1 involving these characters. People know who Ghost Rider is, who Carnage is, who Batman is, who Wonder Woman is. It's great when we see something change that, like Alred's Dark Age Batman 1, which is really, really spectacular. When Ben Percy took over on Ghost Rider a few years ago, that was brilliant. I absolutely loved the grindhouse aesthetic and feel he brought to that. But for the most part, I find them just a continuation, and the fact they just do issue 1s is far, far more of a marketing than a storytelling thing. Occasionally, they'll do it when it's a new creator, but not always. Sometimes it'll be the exact same creative team, but not do another issue 1 because they just did a 4-issue arc instead of just doing an ongoing. That being said, Image, not necessarily the smallest company in the world, but they are still more independent than anything else, and they have a brand new original IP far more than DC or Marvel does, and this one is one of those cases. And I really did like it. It's not 100% the most original thing I've ever heard, so here's my pretty much entire criticism of this comic book. It is basically people going into a computer-generated, augmented reality world to save somebody that's in there. And when I say that this is the most original idea in the world, nobody can be surprised by that. I've very frustratingly not finished Cemetery Kids Don't Die because Diamond UK never sent me an issue 3 at all, and there's no sign of a trade for it. It's really frustrating because I want to know how it ends, but it's the same kind of thing. And what this does is very similar to that in terms of things that I really like. Before we get to that, though, we're going to talk about the artwork, because we've got Riley Rossmo and Daniel Warren Johnson working together. That's going to be fantastic. Rossmo, if you don't know, is a brilliant artist with a very eclectic style. I mean, this is his cover art, and you can tell there's a lot going on there. It's almost cartoony, but more just oddly stylized. Previously, they've done Harley Quinn for DC, which was absolutely brilliant. One of my favorite Harley Quinn comics in the good last few years. And the Wesley Dodds Sandman thing earlier in the year, which I missed out on when it came in because it was hugely popular and sold that straight away. I have very recently read the trade, and his work for that is spectacular. His eclectic style is wonderful. It's soft line and full of motion, but he gets horror thrown in there with it. He's exactly the right person to do this when they're dealing with most of the story taking place in a fictional world. What's lovely about it is you occasionally get flashback stuff happening in the real world by Daniel Warren Johnson. But because you've got the universal colouring of Mike Spicer in there, it's not a jarring thing when you see the two art styles contrasting with each other. When you get to the end and you get a few pages in the real world, it becomes a bit more clear what's going on. And it's very, very unusual to say this, but Daniel Warren Johnson, the artist on Murder Falcon and the Horse Thor book and Transformers, looks like the more down-to-earth, realistic kind of art stylist that you've got going on there. It's brilliant that they bounce off each and work off with each other so well for that kind of thing. It also works really well for the storytelling because one thing that both Cemetery Kids Don't Die and this does really well is they don't pretend to try and trick us into thinking this is a story set in the world that's actually set in. I feel like at the moment in my life I'm getting a little bit frustrated with stories over a bunch of different media trying really hard to sell a twist, especially when that means they might have to be disingenuous in their storytelling to get the point across that, oh, it's not what you expect. This is brilliant because very early on you get a full 100% sense that they're in a game. I'm not going to go into details exactly why I don't want to spoil the writing, but it's so unsubtle that it's like, right, okay, so I now know what's going on, which means the fact they're in a game isn't the huge point of the story. It gets explained later on, but what becomes more important is their motivations for being in there, like why they are doing what they're doing and what stress is putting on this married couple. And I really like the slight inversion of form where we've got two people willing to do this thing, but one of them is questioning what they can do, if it's worth it for their motivations. The other one is absolutely gung-ho, like, no, we have made a decision, we are going to do this, we're going to see it through to its conclusion no matter what. And it's quite nice that that one is the femme person, because it's so so far the other way. Every other step of every other story you're going to read, it'll be the masculine character being like, no, we are going to do this, so it doesn't matter who gets hurt on the way. It's really nice to see that inversion on here, and it does make me want to find out more about them and about their motivations. Genuinely good character study, fantastic artwork, and a really solid set of what I expect to be a fantastic story. That's it for me for now, though. I might get one more review in before the end of the week. I've still got like 3 or 4 things I want to read, so make sure you do the social media things, you don't miss out on anything. Until I see you again, look after each other, everyone. Stay safe. Bye.